we are now forced into a war with Iran. Now, this was a war that was strictly the idea of Israel and our current genocider in chief, and it began randomly a month ago and has not ended. They said that this would only last a couple weeks. A couple weeks have gone by, and it is still ongoing. The president has crashed out multiple times on Truth Social. I like to call them tweets, but he recently crashed out super hard on Truth Social and decided to post something that I don't think anybody was really prepared for. Now, we know that he has a tendency to crash out super, super hard, but this was on another level. He claimed that civilization will die tonight if a deal isn't reached with Iran specifically. The full on tweet truth is just absolutely batshit crazy. I know a lot of people are like, let's not continue spreading that around. But I think it's really important to know exactly and speak truthfully about what type of messaging this sends. Whether he is in full-on dementia psychosis or not, which a lot of people have the conspiracy theory that this man does have dementia, the ultimate conversation that we should be having is that the president is just saying out loud what multiple presidents have done throughout the 250-year history of this country, which is make colonial genocidal threats towards the natives of lands and countries and different parts of the United States and, Latin America and the Caribbean that advance this white supremacist idea. Those of you who are new, my Substack is where you can find all of the videos, the full video all in one go at the Political Pendejadas podcast tab. If you are watching on YouTube, welcome to my channel. Make sure that you subscribe and feel free to check out the Substack. So basically what he, pulled off late Tuesday was that he wanted Iran to make a deal specifically relating to the Strait of Hormuz, which Iran closed in retaliation to being bombed and having their leader murdered. All of this is, leading to Thursday when Netanyahu instructed his cabinet to begin direct negotiations with Lebanon as soon as possible. Because what ended up happening is they reached a ceasefire deal right after this, or the same day that he put out this Truth Social tweet. Everybody thought that he was going to use tactical nukes or some sort of bombing technique to try and get them to open up the Strait of Hormuz. What ended up happening is they reached a ceasefire deal, which we're going to get to because not only did they break that ceasefire deal, Israel did, but I have a feeling that it was never a deal to begin with, or at least not a legitimate deal that they ever wanted to abide by. So on Thursday, Netanyahu instructed the cabinet to begin negotiations with Lebanon as soon as possible. Now, the reason Lebanon is being mentioned in this ground news summary is because Israel broke the ceasefire by bombing Lebanon, and that happened the day after the ceasefire, quote unquote, was supposed to take effect. Now, the United States government decided to lie and say, no, we never broke the ceasefire deal because Lebanon was never a part of it, but Iran put out the 10-point plan, and it absolutely included Lebanon. So all of that was happening, and Netanyahu wanted to focus on disarming Hezbollah, and establishing peaceful relations between the two countries. Why I don't believe that, I'm sure you all can guess. Israel is not a truthful negotiator by any means, and all they want to do is expand their Greater Israel project. The U.S. envoy, Steve Witkoff, pressed Netanyahu to calm down strikes in Lebanon and open up negotiations following Lebanon's repeated requests and earlier calls from Lebanese President Joseph Aoun I'm probably saying that right, for a diplomatic path. Now, the negotiations are to focus on disarming Hezbollah and establishing peace. Again, I really don't think that's true. I think this is all just to expand their greater Israel project. But Israeli strikes on Wednesday killed at the very least, 254 people, according to the Lebanese civil defense, underscoring the humanitarian toll, complicating these diplomatic efforts. Now, I really hate it when media and mainstream media really focus on like, oh, we need diplomatic efforts. Like, this is all part of diplomatic efforts. When it comes to Israel and the United States, when it comes to any imperial power, there is no diplomatic effort, right? Like, you're basically negotiating with an errorist, if you know what I'm saying. The U.S. and Israel deny the ceasefire covers Lebanon, while Iran and Pakistan claim it explicitly includes the country, with Tehran warning that ongoing strikes constitute a blatant violation of this agreement. So all of this to say is that Iran is definitely not going to be letting up. I don't think Iran is stupid, though, because we have seen how Israel consistently has broken ceasefire agreements between Hamas and the IDF, and they continuously bomb Gaza, and they continuously go after people in the West Bank. So they are known for violating ceasefire agreements. It's like literally their brand. Vice President J.D. Vance leads a U.S. delegation to Islamabad this weekend for peace talks aimed at ending the war, as negotiations face significant hurdles amid regional uncertainty over ceasefire terms. So all that to say, J.D. Vance is scheduled to go to Pakistan, which is the go-between, the mediator in these quote-unquote diplomatic talks, to try and get the ceasefire deal done. Now, what's funny to me is that the U.S. continues to try and claim we are the ones trying to end the war when y'all started it. Y'all been start. Like, y'all start shit and you refuse to end shit. But now all of a sudden, you know, oh, because the Strait of Hormuz is closed, you want to negotiate? Like, please. It has become extremely, extremely contentious. Now, little J.D. Vance, I don't believe has the capability of negotiating much of anything. So we'll see how any of this goes. There's a different summary on the BBC. It says, U.S. President Donald Trump says that the only reason Iranians are alive today is to negotiate. So again, the genocider-in-chief is continuing this talk of, yeah, the only reason that we're doing this is because of the Strait of Hormuz and because we want to make sure that we get our oil. That's point blank period, the end. That's all he wants. J.D. Vance is saying that he is looking forward to negotiations and that he wants to work with Iran if they act in good faith. Okay. The only people not acting in good faith are y'all. He also warns if they try to play us, the U.S. won't be receptive. Again, the only people playing games here is the United States. The Iranian delegation is yet to arrive in Islamabad. Iran's parliament speaker says a ceasefire in Lebanon must happen before the negotiations begin. So they are standing 10 toes down, making sure that Lebanon is 100% a part of the ceasefire deal. They do not want the Greater Israel Project to continue. Therefore, they are not going to allow the continued bombing of Lebanon. Earlier, a senior Lebanese official told the BBC that Lebanon will not only take part in separate talks next week with Israel if a ceasefire is in place beforehand. There has been confusion over whether the U.S. and Iran's 2-week ceasefire includes Lebanon, but we've already talked about how there is no confusion. They said, this is what we want, and the U.S. and Israel broke that. A Washington correspondent for the BBC says it's unclear what solution can make every side happy or if there's a quick fix to reopen the Strait of Hormuz. Now, again, here's my gripe with traditional corporate media. They continue doing things like this. Like, what is going to make everybody happy? The United States and Israel started a war with a country that didn't do anything to them, right? This idea that it's nuclear weapons, it's like 2001 all over again, 2002 all over again. Like, we know that that is not the case. We know that that is not what was happening. It was all for Israel's Greater Israel Project. They wanted to attack Iran for decades, and the US and our genocider in chief was the stupid one that decided to go for it. MAGA now is starting to crash out because this regime and this administration claimed and campaigned on the idea that they were going to be the peaceful administration, right? They were going to be the America First, no wars administration. And now MAGA is completely crashing out because of this war in Iran, because of the tweet that he put out, genocidal statement saying he was going to, alluding to the fact that he was going to genocide an entire nation. And they have been calling for the 25th Amendment to be invoked. I made a very quick video about this on Instagram on why the 25th Amendment is most likely never going to happen. But what I find so interesting is that anytime the left calls Donald Trump's regime fascist, MAGA has a full-on crash out, comes after us. It's happened to me multiple times on Instagram where they are like little children. They're like, no, this is not a fascist regime. You should go to a different country. You should go to Iran and see what a fascist regime looks like. That's always their excuse. Now that they're starting to see the veil lift on their genocider in chief, their favorite president, now is when they start to say, oh, yeah, this is too far. This is definitely too far. We don't like this. This has to end. I find it hilarious. Marjorie Taylor Greene started to make statements about this. Candace Owens decided to start making statements about this. Alex Jones, I saw, started to call for the 25th Amendment. I mean, it's literally so crazy, you guys. So thankfully, no nukes ended up being deployed. I had been texting with a bunch of veterans to see like what they thought of this, like what was going to happen. And then a couple hours later, we had a ceasefire. So thankfully, the people of Iran are going to continue resisting another day, and we'll see what ends up happening next. I will see you guys very, very soon. Make sure that you subscribe on every channel I'm in: Instagram, Substack, YouTube, and Threads. Don't forget Threads. And I will see you next time.